Accused Winchester murderer Jeffrey Yao is due in court tomorrow for a status hearing. He's expected to plead not guilty by reason of insanity to the February killing of 22-year-old Deanne Kenny Stryker, a medical student. Police say Yao stabbed Stryker 20 times while she was studying in the town's library. Yao's lawyers will not argue he did not commit the crime. Instead, they're expected to contend that Yao is mentally ill and shouldn't be considered legally responsible for his actions, a defense that is notoriously hard to get juries to buy. These verdicts are sought in just 1% of cases. Most violent crimes, of course, are not committed by those with mental illness, and the vast majority of mentally ill people do not commit violent crimes. But when suspects do plead not guilty by reason of insanity, a 1991 study found that nearly 75% of them, that's 3 in 4, not surprisingly fail. It's because no jury, after the mindless taking of such a promising life, wants to say the words not guilty, and they shouldn't have to. But it's the only option if a jury concludes the defendant was unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of his or her crime in this state. Some other states, however, allow for another plea, guilty but mentally ill or insane, which still holds the attacker responsible for the crime. That's the key, and often results in a similar sentence, but also allows for the provision of psychological treatment. In Yao's case, his history of mental illness and violence is clear. Since 2012, he's had dozens of interactions with Winchester police, who escorted him to the hospital at least 5 times after raising alarm in his neighborhood.
He threw a planted pot against the door, and the police come up and arrested him.
And after Yao tried to break into his neighbor's home last fall, a local hospital filed paperwork with Woburn District Court to admit him for, quote, management of his condition. It's clear Yao needs treatment, and he should get it, but that in no way should diminish the seriousness of what he did. When considering under current law whether a suspect is not guilty by reason of insanity, Massachusetts jurors are forced to decide between giving a mentally ill person the treatment they need or holding a killer responsible for his or her actions. That's an unacceptable choice. A verdict of guilty but insane would allow them to do both.